So, welcome to a brand new episode of Comic Corner. We are talking Loki and all of the news. Speaking of news, so we got a couple of things today, actually, that are kind of big. So they announced today that Black Widow will be available to all Disney Plus subscribers on October 6th, which is huge considering it's coming out July 9th, and they are doing Premiere Access, which I will probably be buying. So the fact that they are bringing it around that quickly, they're just barely sticking to the 90-day window. And of course, we've covered in the past that they are doing the 45-day window, starting with Shang-Chi and Kriitikae. There's the right one. So they will be doing a 45-day theatrical window before then going to both Disney Plus and Premium on Demand. Excuse me. So that'll be exciting. I know $30 is a big price point for a lot of people, especially if you're not going to watch it more than once. Although, considering how big of a Marvel film this is, I think most people will watch it more than once. I'm going to go see it in theaters once, and then I'll probably just buy it to watch it at home. And I know for people like Kriitikae who, maybe don't have the best immune system right now, the fact that this is an option and that you can get it pretty quickly on Disney Plus without having to pay the extra money is huge.
Yeah. Personally, I'm going to look at it like I would spend, $15 on a ticket anyway.
Easily.
So if the Hubs and I went to the movie, we would already spend $30, and that's not including snacks. We're definitely going to pay the premium to see this right away at home.
Yeah, and I think the reason Premium on Demand hasn't worked is because the films that they've picked haven't been films that people would be willing to pay for it. Mulan could have been big, but there was a lot of controversy surrounding that film with some of the choices that they made. I know Raya didn't do very well, but also that's mostly a family film. A lot of people aren't like super hyped to see that. I think Black Widow and I think Jungle Cruise, which is going to be the last one they do Premiere Access for, will work in those regards. Some other news that we got to in the last couple of days is that on the She-Hulk Disney Plus series, we will be introducing Hulk's son, Takar, to the MCU. Now, granted, I'm not the biggest update on the comic books, but I know that that's a big deal. So someone who knows more about Hulk comics than I do, please let me know what all of that means. But I'm sure it's huge in terms of introducing new characters to the MCU, especially since we're finally at the end of the Universal stranglehold on the Hulk.
Yeah.
And so we will be getting all of those movies back. I know also they released a couple of new Black Widow clips. I know tickets went on sale for Black Widow, I want to say yesterday. Also, I think it was last week, we got word that Thor Love and Thunder is finished filming, which sporting a very buff looking Chris Hemsworth, which if you're gonna go for that look, please get a trainer who knows what they're doing, because he has an entire team making sure that he doesn't hurt himself. Because there's only a couple of ways you get that buff. So,
and I heard an interview with his stunt double that his stunt double is bigger than he's ever been.
Yeah.
So you gotta think, these movie stars that do superhero roles, not only do they have to be in impeccable shape, but whoever is assisting them as body doubles, stunt doubles, they have to be in impeccable shape. So they're training together. They've got nutritionists and dietitians and dozens of people making sure everything that goes in their body is absolutely perfect.
Yes, exactly. So on the DC side of things, we have some HBO Max news. We are getting 2 new animated series. Batman the Cape Crusader, which is Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams taking on the Dark Knight and his Rogues Gallery, so that should be interesting. I imagine it'll be kind of a play on the Longest Halloween. There's the right word. And that kind of style of, every rogue that they can think of at once. We are also getting My Adventures with Spider-Man, which looks like to be kind of a kids' TV show. So that should be fun. Let's see, what
And
else?
we've discussed it before.
Mhm.
DC always has better animated than it
yeah.
has live action. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I quite good lord. I quite like the DC animated things. They do it very well. And sorry, I'm keeping an eye on the Tiltify campaign. We just got a $100 anonymous donation. Thank you to whoever that was. Much appreciated. We are now at $20,160. I will post link.
Amazing.
I know a lot of people in
So
here
since
have
we're
already
talking about
donated,
Tiltify,
but we love you anyways.
yeah. While we're talking about Tiltify, do you want to talk about what you guys managed to achieve this morning?
Yes. So, this morning was Jedi Academy, the kind of gigantic, let's get as many content creators as we can together. When we started the stream, we were at about 16,000. When we ended the stream, we were just over 20,000. So within about 6 hours, we were able to raise about $4,000, which is huge. For those of you guys that don't really know what that equates in terms of what St. Jude can do, when we pass 15K, that provides 2.5 CAT scans, which, if anybody's been in the medical world, you know that they're massively expensive, even if you have insurance. If we're able to get to 25K, which is our goal between this and then the Gridsy session, Grid's personal stream, the D&D session that they're going to do later on with RSG, and the Gambit podcast, all of those together, we're trying to get to 25K at least. That'll provide 15 days of chemotherapy for one kid. And if you guys don't know a whole lot about St. Jude, they are the leader in children's cancer research. Most of what they deal with is leukemia, which is something that is close to my heart. My grandfather died of leukemia. We almost lost my uncle to leukemia. Thank God he's in remission. And I'm gonna break down crying. So their goal is not only to do research, but also to make sure that no family ever leaves with a bill. And because, kid cancer is so hard on not only the family, but also, financially, emotionally, all of that. And unfortunately, this morning, right before we started, we did get word that Minnie did pass in his sleep. And, we're all grieved by it, but we're doing this in honor of him. And anything we can raise will help them out tremendously. Yeah. It's touched my life. It's touched Paul and Critty. It's something that hits close to home for a lot of people, unfortunately. But we have done way more than I ever thought we would. We started this at like $2,000. We're like, hey, if we can get 2,000, we're cool, right? We're happy with that. And then it just exploded out of this community into DSA, into MSF. There was guys saying that they had people on Fortnite, they had people on Fallout, they had people on COD, all having Minnie in their names. So, y'all are an amazing community. Love you guys. And that's my pitch for Minnie for today. But back to...
So speaking of that,
yes,
this community also helped me when I went through my own battle with cancer. And I wanted to say thank you in the way that I can. And that is with t-shirts, because really, that's what I do. I've got a Loki shirt on right now. So I'm going to put a message in chat. just type the word shirt if you are interested in getting some free shirts from me. And then I'll hit you up on Discord. And like I'm gonna randomly choose one person who was watching our stream today. And just in honor of Minnie, I'm gonna let you choose a couple of my shirts and send them to you. So just type shirt and I will randomly pick one by the end of our stream, and we'll figure out what you like.
Yeah, and dude, if you haven't seen her shirt designs, the link for her merch, just for the ones that she's done for the Bounty Honeys, is amazing. She has even more.
Yeah, I had 2 new ones this week, so I'm up to 173. I spend a lot of time doing this.
She's really good.
Yeah.
You should go support her. Oh, Buzzsaw say he's seeing it in State of Survival too. Yeah, it's gone crazy. Which is just amazing to me. Excuse me. Okay. So we've got
spoilers.
Loki. So much spoilers. So Loki started off super strong. Of course started right at Endgame, where they kind of diverged things a little bit. And we went through him going through that scene, getting the Tesseract, disappearing, and then we saw him pop out in, I believe it was the Gobi Desert? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, in Mongolia.
Yeah.
Definitely Gobi Desert.
Which, yeah, as Buzzsaw said, I have an
honestly,
amazing...
like, he fell from quite a height.
Yes. Yeah.
And he had just gotten beaten down by the Hulk. Like, that could not have been a comfortable landing.
Oh no. You know, and I love Tom Hiddleston, like, so much. He's so great as his character. And I love that, like, immediately people started coming over, and his first reaction was to hop up on the little tiny rock just to get slightly higher and say, "I am Loki of Asgard." I laughed out loud when I was watching it.
His catchphrase. He was like trying to be intimidating, even though they just saw him fall from the sky.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it so much. There was so many things that happened in this episode. So after that, then we see our first look at the TVA agents, which was super fun. They kind of look like SWAT members to me, which not a great look, but okay, I'll go with it. But they had
I loved that when she popped out, she's like spouting all of this TVA jargon.
Yeah.
And you can just tell he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You know, I love that his first kind of idea is, okay, let's, you know, try and figure out what's going on, but also I'm going to just speak in the most, like, self-grandiose way possible. And I love that she smacks him, throws him in like 1/16 slow-mo, which I don't know how many frames per second they had to film to get that. It had to have been thousands. Which, if you've ever watched the slow-mo guys on YouTube, that's basically what they do. Like, it's a slow-mo cam, it shoots an insane amount of frames per second, and it's how you get all those cool little you know, explosions, or in this case,
lip jiggles.
Getting smacked in the face with a nightstick and it just going whoop, whoop, for like a minute and a half, which was so great. I loved it so much. So we see that happening. He's immediately taken to the TVA kind of headquarters, which, no, that's not yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. Where he's, you know, basically put through these series of questions, and people are just like, dude, just answer the question. Like, I just want to do my job and move on. They had the little, like,
bureaucracy.
Yeah, exactly. They had the little happy robot with all the arms, which I said in my like live messaging of watching the episode, it reminds me of the happy robots from Doctor Who that would kill you if you were sad. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but I like where you're going with this. And all the pain. Yes, exactly. So he gets his suit cut off, which, solid body under that suit. 10 out of 10. Enjoyed that quite a bit.
More muscles than you would expect.
I was really, I wasn't expecting him to be that kind of almost athlete type of, not really built, but just slightly built, and I can live with it. He drops down, and it's like,
in comparison, he's usually standing next to Chris Hemsworth,
right? Yeah, it's a lot. So we get there's a great little scene where he is standing in front of this gigantic, like, metal detector, basically. And I forget what he asked him. I want to say, are you a robot? I think it's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like
he had to say that he was fully organic and that he was not robotic. Or it would melt his insides. Yeah. Basically.
Which was so funny.
And then he gets all worried and he's like, wait, what if I was robot and I didn't know it?
Yeah, it was so great. And then of course we end with the scene in that section that we've already seen, which is the please sign to verify that this is actually everything you've ever said. And he's like, what? And he's like, sign this too. And there was a lot of speculation of, did he sign as Loki? Did he sign as Tom Hiddleston just to get through just to get through the scene? So I love all these like weird little details. Durgan says, I like Loki, but I have to say the time trope is getting overused. I agree. There have been a couple of instances where it's been done well. They did it fairly well in Endgame. This was kind of in the works before Endgame, but I get your feeling. There's only so many tropes, unfortunately. And so we haven't really had too many things successfully kind of do stop falling. Do tropes over and over again well. So hopefully going forward we will get less tropes and more original stuff. So then we go into the basically queue, which I love that it was a queue because the joke about British people is they know how to queue. And so
this was a fun scene for me.
Oh, it was so great. It took the little, ticket time deli number. And as they're going through that, we get this is what the TVA is. And it's this like 50s cartoon that is, I'm convinced, designed for children to scare them. Because it's putting a pretty face on something that is terrifying. And we get all about the timekeepers and how there was a multiverse war, which, of course, I was like, oh, okay, this is immediately leading into Doctor Strange. So we get all this multiverse war. The timekeepers are like, we know best. We're going to, consolidate all the timelines into one. And then basically, similar to the movie Adjustment Bureau, make sure everyone stays on that one timeline. And, they end with, be sure to have your ticket so we can process you. And the one guy who didn't grab his ticket immediately gets disintegrated. And I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. That was fun.
Okay, so what I love about this scene is Loki is the god of mischief. He's very, I do my own thing. You can't predict me. Am I bad? Am I good? I do what I want. Mm-hmm. But what does he do? He follows the line. He takes the ticket. He keeps it with him. And then he doesn't try to like skip through the line because there's nobody there. He follows all the bureaucracy. And I love that it just doesn't occur to him to rebel against this.
Right.
As mischievous as he says that he is, as much as he tries to fight against the norm, he is a follower.
Yeah. And it's funny. I love that that cue ends with him basically getting put on trial. And it's like, how do you plead? And he was like, ma'am, a god does not plead. And I was just like, you are just going to like cling to this self-grandiose version of yourself, and I love it. And so we kind of go through this whole, yes, you're guilty, and if you're guilty, then you're going to be reset, and things are going to go on as they should, and the reason why you didn't win in New York is because you weren't supposed to. The reason why the Avenger, and of course he tries to blame it off on the Avengers. They're the ones that travel through time in the first place and screwed all this up. It's like, no, they were supposed to do that, which is interesting.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, hey, he has a good point." And then she was like, "No, they were supposed to do that." Oh, I mean, honestly, you kind of felt it coming because Doctor Strange said there was only one outcome that would be their success, and so apparently this was the one outcome. But it kind of makes me wonder if Doctor Strange was like surfing that sacred timeline.
I mean, honestly, like if there is only one timeline, I'm confused why there was like 14 million outcomes. But I digress. So we get, while this is all happening, we also get Morbius for the first time, played by the lovely Owen Wilson. Wow. And we see him basically investigating a hit squad that got, or a TVA agent squad that got wiped out by a variant. And we don't know who the variant is yet, but all will be revealed later on. And so he...
the little French girl points to a stained glass window of a demon, though.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Shiny. And so they reset that, which I love that they have these little canisters that like reset everything in time. And just, that's adorable to me. And so we also learned that that this squad's reset has been stolen, and that they've had several stolen. So it's curious that you could take these little capsules, do something, if you don't like how it turned out, you can reset it and start over, which is kind of the ultimate, get out of jail free card. And so he gets, they wrap everything up. He gets informed that Loki's been arrested, and he kind of intervenes on his behalf to basically recruit him to work for them, as we'll see later on in the series from the trailers. So, and then of course we find out that he and the judge are dating, which is adorable. And so he takes Loki, and of course we get the elevator scene that we've already seen, the talkie. And they go into
in the trailer.
Yeah, it was so great. And we go into this very retro 1960s like room with all this like cool furniture that's trying to make a comeback today. And we see hold on before I say that thought. Parajawa says, I like how the TVA were just people doing a job, treat you like, and who are you? It was great. Yeah, so good. And that actually is more apparent a little bit later on, when we get into a scene with a certain employee. And so we get
by the name of Casey.
Yeah, I know. Ironic, right? I was like, wait a minute, who's calling my name? Anyway, it's always a guy. It's never a girl. Like, there is a girl version of this name too. I digress. So we get him going into kind of his life and him trying to figure out, he wants him to be honest with him. Do you like killing people? Do you like, causing all this mayhem? Because there's a difference between causing mischief and causing mayhem. And Loki tends to fall a lot lately on the mayhem side rather than on the mischief side. And so, hey, what's up, DJ? Owen Wilson is just a phenomenal addition to this cast. And so we go through his history, right? A little bits and pieces here and there. and then
It was an excellent use of footage from the previous movies.
Yeah. Yes, it was fantastic. It was, and this adorable little thing. It looked like a cross between like an old school TV and like an iMac from the 90s. With like the little roundy thingy on the back. And where is my brain? So we get he gets so I forget what happens. Something happens and he like disappears. Oh, right.
Well, there was the distraction.
There was a
The
distraction.
lady came in.
Yes.
And Owen Wilson was like stepping away, but he didn't realize Loki picked his pocket and got the remote.
That's what it is. Okay. So then Loki goes around, and this is where we see one of the screenshots that have been going around online, which is we see a Agent Carter variant in the background when he escapes in one of the scenes. I forget which one it is exactly. So it's interesting to kind of see different characters randomly pop up. So we get Loki kind of running around, being Loki, trying to figure out how to leave, and he gets his revenge on the TVA agent that arrested him and puts her in a slow-mo thing, and then she keeps just sending her like all over the place. It's adorable. And we run into the previously mentioned Casey, where we find out that a lot of people have the Infinity Stones just lying around using them as paperweights. And I'm like, cool. So that like throws out the, only the strongest can wield Infinity Stones.
Well, in this place, they don't seem to have power, and that's kind of Loki's epiphany.
Yeah.
Where he's amazed that what he has always considered to be the most powerful things in the universe are paperweights here.
Yeah. Exactly. So then we get him coming back to the room, where he watches basically the end of the tape and the end and his end of him dying at the hands of Thanos. And at one point, Owen Wilson shows him, the death of his mother in Thor: Dark World, and you really kind of start to see that was the one catalyst event that really changed Loki from the Avengers Loki to the Ragnarok and Infinity War Loki, where you actually kind of see him start to change a little bit. The Kriitikae Jawa, he actually does know who Thanos is, because there are several parts in Avengers where while he's dealing with Thanos' middleman, he knows who he is, and he makes that threat of until my force is yours to command, you're not going to get your hands on the Infinity Stone. And there's the implication that
in some of the end credits of the first movies.
Yeah, and the implication is that Thanos is the one that gave him the Mind Stone to be able to wield it. So if he didn't know him directly, he was at least aware of him. So yeah, we get to the end of the tape, and we see at the very end of the tape, it says Earth 616, which I thought was just a great little like nod to the comics, that we see, him kind of. I lost my train of thought. Blah, 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 blah.
It's a nice little Easter egg.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So that was great. And then we see Owen Wilson come back to find at the very least nope, that's the wrong word. I'm trying to say like complimented.
Loki is kind of contemplative.
Yeah, that word. My brain is not working.
He's contemplating his life.
Yeah,
and his choices. So Loki watched his own death. He watched the death of his mother. He watched the death of Odin. None of these things he has experienced, but he is intelligent enough to understand that all of this timeline stuff is real, that that actually happened to him, just not this current version of him. And he is understanding that his choices haven't made him happy.
Yeah.
He's not king of everything, and he's lost the people that he actually cares about. So Owen Wilson comes back to him and is like, hey, I need your help. Loki's finally in a place where he's willing to give him that help.
Yeah. And that's when we go into finding out that Owen Wilson specializes in hunting down dangerous variants, which variants are people who get off of their timeline. And come to find out, the variant that we are chasing is Loki himself. Now, we are not told which Loki, so we don't know kind of who, what, when, but we do know that this variant is going around purposely setting up events for TVA agents to be ambushed, which says something about his state of mind. Because, well, again, Loki has wreaked mayhem. He's never been a cold-blooded killer. So the fact that he has been setting up multiple teams of agents to die means that something bad happened. Who knows what? At this point, we don't know yet. But it'll be interesting going forward. So, pretty based on this episode and kind of the trailers that we've seen, which have been a couple, where do you think we're going with this season?
Well, I actually watched this twice. I watched it once and then I watched it once with Paul. So I've had two thoughts about where this series is taking us. First off, when I went back and watched it the second time and the little girl points at the stained glass window, I had thought that it was going to be a Mephisto thing. People have been talking about Nightmare, but I realized that she was pointing at a creature that had horns, and Loki's helmet has horns.
True.
So I'm thinking that maybe just another version of him is meant to be the big bad, that we might not see any of these other characters we've been speculating about for months, which is really intriguing to me because nobody is a worse enemy to themselves than Loki, like nobody would fight harder against himself than Loki. And then the second thing that I thought is we've already speculated that it's supposed to tie into the movies. And one of the things that caught my attention, especially the second time through, during the Q scene in the animation, they were talking about the different timelines. It could create a multiverse event. And what's right around the corner but Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness. So I think that what we're going to see with this episode is Loki trying to stop another version of Loki, the TVA trying to save the timeline, but I think somehow it's going to fail and it's going to create whatever we're going to experience in Doctor Strange. And I am so psyched for it.
Yeah.
How about you? What did you think?
I mean, honestly, like, I love this episode. I thought it was fantastic. Durgan has an interesting thought if it's a female Loki. That would be interesting. I think this will be the one kind of and I know they've said that the Disney Plus shows aren't really going to affect the movies, but I think this is going to be the one rare exception. Because you're taking a pretty big character and giving him a spin-off show. I think this is going to directly lead to Multiverse of Madness. I'm not sure how that's going to play out yet. I think what'll break the timeline is Loki versus Loki. Because that'll be the paradox of all paradoxes, especially if he kills his other self. But, there was a lot of fun little Easter eggs throughout this series. As I've been doing research, the TVA has been around in the comics since the 80s. They started off in Thor, which makes sense why Loki was the one to do it. But I find it interesting that they went with the timekeepers instead of the watchers. So this feels like a variation of the watchers. And them kind of, introducing kind of those cosmic things to kind of keep things in balance, which makes sense considering how vast the MCU is. They like to throw these little Easter eggs and red herrings in at us, and they like to, let us chase these weird thoughts in terms of, what we're speculating on.
Yeah.
There was a lot.
I mean, I was dead certain we were getting X-Men in the WandaVision, and that didn't end up panning out.
Yeah, that's true. And I felt bad for Matt Shackman because I watched an interview you did after that, and he was like, "Yeah, that was never the case, but I kind of forgot that this was Marvel for a second." And I was like, "Well, oh, yeah, I should probably, pay more attention to that." Hey, General Group, how you doing, buddy? Afternoon. Glad you can make it. By the way, we are giving away shirts to one of our viewers today, so enter the word shirt to be entered into the giveaway. We're going to give that away probably in the next 20 minutes
right now,
or so.
You have an excellent chance.
Yeah. We're going to give that away in about 20 minutes or so after we finish wrapping up this episode. But glad you guys could join us. I've been thinking a lot about the timekeepers the last couple of days after I watched the episode, and I love that the tutorial, it made everything seem altruistic, and everything was lovely and hunky-dory, but it's totally not. Like, it's very like a totalitarian way, tutorial way of looking at the timeline, and I want to know kind of what their thought process was of, okay, which of these timelines should we have condensed? What was the thought process that went into that? Because there's some very distinct things that have happened in the 616 universe, that wouldn't have happened in another timeline. I'm a big fan of Elseworlds what if stories, and I feel like some of these are like the Agent Carter pop-up, for example, I think is going to be the basis for the what if series. There was a lot of scrolls, as we were going through the TVA. So there's a lot of different little things that I think will be interesting going forward. There's been a lot of when we haven't.
You bring up an excellent point.
Go for it. It's
so your point of the what if storylines.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've already experienced with the Marvel is Into the Spider-Verse, which was animated.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's completely not canon within the MCU, where you have different versions of the same character that come together. We have the What If series that's about to start. And obviously in the comics, there are different universes for all sorts of different things. What makes us so sure that the timekeepers are not some kind of evil cosmic entity? Because that's one of the things Marvel does the best, is have these completely ridiculously overpowered villains for everybody to come up against.
True. And I was reading some recaps and some kind of Easter egg type articles earlier today because I didn't have time with the wedding. But one of them brought up an interesting point. In the comics, Wanda is a Nexus being, which we haven't gotten to the X-Men yet, so we really haven't gotten into Nexus, Omega level mutants, and all of that craziness. But one of the things is she can affect probability, change the flow of time. And since the TVA is now within the MCU, I am sure that they are not only aware, but watching her. And we got that ad for the Nexus depressants, antidepressants, there's the right word. Side effects include feeling your feelings, confronting your truth, seizing your destiny, and possible more depression. Okay. While that perfectly fits Wanda's journey, it also could very easily fit Loki's journey throughout this show. So it'll be interesting kind of going forward how much of, because they really leaned into the psychological with WandaVision. Are they going to lean into that as well with Loki? Because, he's already, even though he hasn't gone through it yet, you could see him going through all those emotions of watching his mother get killed, watching himself get killed, watching his father get killed, So there's a lot of different things that he's already, kind of gone through within, just 20 minutes of viewing time. So it'll be interesting kind of going forward.
I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier also delved into that kind of psychological aspect, because it was all Bucky coming to terms with who he used to be and who he wants to be, and Sam coming to terms with what it would mean to be Black and Captain America.
Yeah.
So maybe that's really what the TV shows are doing, is they're humanizing these characters that are superpowered beings or have this technology and do these incredible things and protect the world, but they're also people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Even Loki, the god of mischief, is a person.
Yeah. And we went through 3 different time periods within this one. So we did, of course, 2012, 1948, which was when they were in the church, and then 1858, which is when we find out that the variant is Loki. So,
and there was also a nice DB Cooper flashback that was really fun.
I forgot about DB Cooper. That was great. I love that they did that. I was like, what a great little callback. That was so good. So it'll be interesting to kind of see, again, what going forward, what they do with it. I have very high hopes for this show. But we shall see going forward if they can keep the intrigue, if they can keep the mystery alive and not let it, kind of drop. I love WandaVision, but they kind of dropped it a little bit in the middle because they were doing all these twists and turns and stuff. And kind of same with Falcon and Winter Soldier. They got about halfway through, and it just felt like the stakes weren't as high as they were towards the beginning, or even really at the end. So hopefully they can keep everything going forward. Pretty tied up. I have high faith. I haven't really seen a whole lot by this particular director. It's not a name that I recognize. So yeah, fingers crossed. They've got a lot of good Thor comics to go off of. So we'll see.
All right. So out of 5 stars, what are you going to rate this episode?
I'm going to go with a 4. I liked it quite a bit. I thought there was a little bit of kind of disjointedness for me during the kind of Loki bopping around thing. But I really loved the DB Cooper moment. So I'm going to go with a 4. It was a good start.
I think I'm going for about a 4.5. After that second rewatch, I caught a couple of Easter eggs that I had missed. I caught a couple of moments that I was like, oh, maybe they're doing this. And I found it more intriguing.
Okay.
And I do just like a good kind of retro aesthetic anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, works out well. Paul really likes it too. So, I mean, our house is decorated that way. But like the whole bureaucracy of it, but Loki just being bewildered cracked me up. So I liked this episode. There are only a couple of moments where I was like, not for me. But I enjoyed it pretty highly overall.
Good. Like I said, strong start. They've got like 9 more episodes to go, I think it is. So we'll see what they do going forward. And of course, this will be slightly competing with Black Widow a little bit, but looking forward to that. All right, guys, you got 1 more minute to get shirt in if you want some of Kriitikae's awesome designs. Y'all have seen us wearing them all around. A bunch of us have got them. She's done all of our bounty
Literally,
honeys
if
work.
I'm in a t-shirt, it's one of my designs.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of them.
Yeah, they're awesome. I have a very cool Doctor Who one
Thanks.
somewhere in my house, as well as, of course,
yeah, the WandaVision pillow.
the WandaVision pillow, which is one of my favorite pillows. It's mostly on my bed, but I had to move stuff around, so it's been over in my studio side of things. Actually, I saw like a 3-foot tall Baby Yoda plushie the other day at Hot Topic. I'm really tempted to go get it to add it to the studio.
I could see that being tempting.
You know, it was. And it was only $30, which I was really surprised how cheap it was. Alrighty, guys. So, let's do this giveaway, and then we will wrap up for this week.
So I have a little thing. I don't know if Paul has it set up that I could share this. Let me try it real quick.
Okay. I can always switch scenes if need be.
I don't think he's got his thing set up yet to share screens.
Oh, good.
Okay. Well, you're just gonna have to trust me that I'm an honest person.
Wow.
We are spinning.
Ooh.
And Socratic Jawa has won.
Woohoo!
Thank you, guys.
All right, Socratic Jawa.
So I'm going to message Socratic Jawa in Discord.
Yep.
With a link for all of my shirts. And you can just tell me which 2 you want, and I'll mail them to you.
Sweet. Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Apologize for it being a little shorter than normal. I am just flat out exhausted. So, but we will see you guys next week for episode 2 of Loki, as well as all of the CW recaps, all of the news. We're gonna try and have a guest on next week, either the Nev or Andy Beads. Hopefully we get those rescheduled here shortly. Be on the lookout later next week. I will have this episode going up. We will have the Bounty Honeys charity stream one going up as well. Now that I'm not stupid busy.
Yeah, we owe you guys. I owe you a GAC, and we owe you some Phasmo games. So definitely keep your eye on our Discord. We will schedule those. Kate did watch Hamilton.
Yep, she did watch Hamilton, and
we're keeping our promises.
If you guys didn't catch Jedi Academy this morning, we have hit 20K. So Kate will be breaking out the Ouija board for a Phasmo game. So we will see you guys next time. See you tomorrow for our Sunday morning tea with Kate and the llama. Until then, stay geeky, and we will see you later. Bye.
Have a good week.